If you want to talk about which direction someone is going in English, we have kind of a complicated system. You can go out or exit, you can go in or enter, you can go up or ascend, etc., etc. So sometimes we'll use the basic word go with a preposition, and sometimes we have a separate word like enter, exit, ascend, descend, etc. In a way, the Russian system is simpler and more consistent. In Russian, we'll normally use a system of prefixes that are attached to the beginning of a word to show direction. In this video, we'll look at pri, which expresses the idea of arrival. Let's start with a quick review. In an earlier video, we saw how ходить is used for motion in more than one direction, on foot or often just within a town. For example, мы ходили в театр. Она ходит в школу. We can take that same verb ходить, add при to the beginning, and we get приходить, to arrive or to come. For example, они всегда приходили утром. Я прихожу на работу в 9 часов. Мы больше не будем приходить в 7. You may have noticed that in all these examples, we're talking about repeated actions, so приходить must be an imperfective verb. But what if we want to express the notion of arriving once in a context that needs a perfective? Earlier, we talked about the verb идти that's used for motion in a single direction. Я иду домой. Они шли очень медленно. But we can take that same prefix при and use it with идти to get прийти. Now, note the spelling may change a little when we do this. Here, we're dropping the «д», and in its place we have «и» краткое in the infinitive. For example, вчера они пришли в 10. Завтра мы придем в 7. Both of these examples are describing one-time actions, a classic context for a perfective verb. So, now we have a normal imperfective-perfective pair, приходить, прийти. Adding pri to the multidirectional ходить gave the imperfective приходить, and by adding pri to the unidirectional идти, we've made a perfective verb, прийти. That's a pretty important concept moving forward, so let's say it one more time. Adding a directional prefix like pri to a multidirectional verb gives an imperfective. Adding a directional prefix to a unidirectional verb creates a perfective verb. And it's also worth mentioning that since pri tells us the direction, we're not really concerned about multidirectional or unidirectional motion when there's a prefix like this. Russian has about a dozen directional prefixes like this, and some books will give terribly complete charts about how all of this works, and sometimes it is helpful to see the patterns so that you can apply them to other words. For example, later we'll see that you can add pri to words for flying, running, carrying, etc. But don't let that overwhelm you. It's also fine, especially at the beginning, to learn these one pair at a time as new vocabulary, being sure that you're good with the forms of each new pair that you learn. Trying to swallow the entire system all at once can lead to indigestion, headaches, and other types of needless suffering, so one pair at a time is really just fine. Summing up, Russian uses a set of prefixes that indicate direction with verbs to express notions like going in, out, through, across, arriving, leaving, etc. We can add these to pairs like ходить and идти to get normal imperfective-perfective pairs. При means arrival, so приходить, прийти is simply to arrive or to come, without a vehicle or within a town. Sometimes adding a prefix will change the spelling or sound of the verb a little bit, as we saw with при plus идти giving прийти.